In this video, I want to break down for you a little bit on how I like to counter teams in Hero Wars.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero War Central, and in today's video, I want to discuss a little bit about my thought process on how I counter teams in Hero Wars. And if this is your first time joining the channel, I do informational, educational videos for newer and mid-range Hero Wars and Hero Wars mobile players. If that sounds like you, please consider subscribing, turn on that notification bell. And if you find this video helpful or maybe a little funny, or you just want to laugh at me, you can like or dislike the video, whichever, that's fine. But the question of the day is, I'm curious on which hero that you leveled first. And I mean, like, which role, which did you level your tank up first? Did you level your damage dealer up first? Because that kind of plays into this video. So yesterday I did a Team Fight Tuesday video where I looked at the rankings in Arena, and I took the #1 team, which this time it's Rubber Ducky with Cleaver, Invari, Celeste, Sebastian, Peppy. I did the top 5 teams, and these are all their defensive teams, of course. And this is Facebook. I took these teams and I threw them into the max testing environment, and I went up against them, and I was able to beat the teams by varying a little bit of heroes here and there. But the idea was I wanted to use Heidi specifically, the Heidi Maya team specifically, I should say, to see if I could counter all of these quote-unquote meta defending teams on my server. And I got several messages asking me, how did I come up with the counter team so easily? And you can see here, I still have all 5 of these fights here. And I scroll up a little bit, you can see I posted this back on 11/2, 10/29. So like all of these other fights, 10/29, all of these other fights were done before yesterday, which was the 3rd. And a lot of people, some people might think, oh well, he just threw the teams up and he did max testing until he figured it out. Well, here you go. Here's the past guild battles. So I just threw rank 5, rank 4, all the way down the list, and I was able to beat them all in one challenge. And so let's take Rubber Ducky here for an example. This isn't the same team that he's using. It's similar, but it's not the same team. So I was trying to go up against this team with my Heidi team, and I will do, before this video gets too much deeper, I will do a more all-encompassing rock, paper, scissors, how to counter this team, how to counter that team, which team counters that team in the future. But in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the psychology of how to counter a team from the low to mid to maybe higher end ranks. So you take a look at this team, and you got to think the psychology of this individual. This is what, Rubber Ducky? Yeah. Which hero do you think that he leveled the most? Now, usually I would say it's the tank. However, the fact that Cleaver is his tank means that he maybe didn't get his tank immediately. Maybe it took him a while to get that tank, and this isn't about max level, having every hero maxed out and mixing and matching heroes to defeat a specific team. You want to think about which hero they level first. And maybe that's a bad example. Let's take a look at Randy here. So Randy most likely leveled up his Astaroth first. He was really hardcore into leveling up his Astaroth. The second thing that you want to think about is which hero do they level up second? Possibly the main damage dealer. That's the psychology of most players. Level up their tank first so that their team survives. Level up that damage dealer second. It's actually the philosophy that I tell all new players. Make sure that your team can survive by picking a tank and sticking to them. Okay? A lot of people, a lot of YouTubers, a lot of people, posting on Reddit and Facebook everywhere will have a similar leveling pattern for new players. Pick a tank, invest most of your resources into that tank, for better or worse. That's going to be your most built up hero. And then once that tank is at a point that it can keep your team alive, then work on that damage dealer. So what do I do? What do I do against this team? This team right here has got a lot of magic damage, okay? And you got to think to yourself, who counters magic damage? Well, there's some heroes in the game that do that very well. You got to think about the tank. Is this tank an active tank? Does this tank provide a lot of offensive capabilities? Is this tank Galahad, Luther, or Cleaver? If the answer is no, then I'm less worried about this tank doing a lot of stuff to mess up or disrupt my team's goal. If this tank were Luther, if this tank were Cleaver, if this tank were Galahad, I would want to pay more attention to this tank. I would use Jorgen against that tank. to slow them down. Next question, where's that damage dealer? Is that damage dealer a physical damage dealer? Is it a magical damage dealer? Is it a pure damage dealer? That's the next question you got to ask yourself. In this instance here, we have Orion, who's the primary damage dealer. You could say that maybe Helios is, considering Helios does have much higher magic attack. However, Helios is kind of a secondary to the Orion damage dealer because, Orion casts his ultimate so many times. He provides the magic penetration for the team. He, Helios does provide the, little defenses. Dorian is physical attack. Orion is probably the primary damage dealer. Can my Jorgen, if I plug a Jorgen in here to counter a tank, can my Jorgen slow that hero down? Well, he's in the third position, so likely no. So because this team doesn't have an active or an offensive tank and the damage dealer isn't in the front line, I tend to not use Jorgen in these types of fights. Now, Jorgen is probably one of the top 3 heroes in the game. I would recommend everybody to level up Jorgen. If you're not already, you will be using Jorgen in your main team or as an alternate in your main team. Certainly in Team 2 or Team 3, you will absolutely be using Jorgen, this guy right here. Incredibly popular, incredibly effective, one of the few heroes in the game that can slow down energy gain, which is a big part of Hero Wars fights. And I know we're staring at the screen for a while. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. So, for my team, what did I do? And let's just pop this open. I should have popped this open earlier. We have Aurora, who is pretty decent against physical teams because she can dodge. Aurora is pretty decent against magical teams because of her violet ability to to send magic damage back at the enemy. I like to use Faceless. Faceless is another one of those extremely easy to get heroes. Faceless has a violet ability that provides magic defense full time. It's 100% up for your entire team. Okay, doesn't need a lot of investment to get Faceless going. I'm using, of course, Heidi and Maya for my damage dealers. Your damage dealers do not matter. You can use the twins here. You can use Kark. Faceless, of course, you already got Faceless here. You could use, Kira, Ching Mao. You can use literally any other 2 damage dealers here. And then my healer that I chose is Thea. Now, the reason why I chose Thea is because her artifact weapon is magic defense. One of her abilities provides silence to the enemy team. So this is my thought process. This is how I was able to counter this team. Now, you might say, I don't have these heroes leveled up. I don't have Faceless. I don't have Thea leveled up. Well, that's okay. That's okay because the supporting role players, the supporting heroes, don't need as much investment to provide their supporting role as your tank does, keeping your team alive, and your damage dealer does to defeat the enemy team. Let me say that again. The support heroes, and we're talking about, in this case, we're talking about Faceless and Thea. On the enemy team, the support heroes would be Jorgen. On Llama's team, the support, again, Jorgen, Faceless, Cornelius. These support heroes don't need as much investment as your tank and your damage dealer do in order to be effective. So maybe your tank is, let me pull up my heroes here. Maybe your tank is at 100,000 power. Your supports, your jet could be at 33,000 power. And I routinely use my jet in arena, in top 50, top 30, top 20 arena. Even at 33 power, it's effective when I need this hero. Now, would I like to get all of my support heroes, and I'm talking about Jet and Sebastian and Jorgen, Celeste, Leon, Helios is a great support hero. Cornelius, of course, Rufus, lots of great support heroes in this game that have other purposes as well. They serve great purposes as primary damage dealers and tanks, etc., etc. Would I like to have them all leveled up equally? Sure, but the fact of the matter is this game is a time versus resources game, and if you spend your time or your resources leveling up your Kark, your main damage dealer, or your Astaroth, your main tank, that's going to leave up less resources for your other heroes. Now, this is kind of a contradiction, this account, because this account is all about collecting heroes, getting them to absolute star, and getting them to max level, because I'm in a very comfortable place with my guild. Our guild is in a very comfortable place in Guild Wars. So it's not super important that I max out my Kark or that I max out my Astaroth before I start working on another team. But I want you to think about, again, let's go back to this ranking here. Actually, let's go back to the guild battles against Foundry 2. I want you to start thinking about ways to counter magic attack teams. Magic attack teams, doesn't matter who's in them. Is it the Twins? Is it Orion? Is it Satori? Magic attack teams, you want higher magic defense. You want ways to remove their debuffs, be it the Mark of Water or Satori's Foxfire marks or Jorgen's Curse. If it's a physical team, like my Kark team, you want dodging heroes. You want more armor on your team. If it's a critical hit team, then you want dodge. You want Helios to block those critical hits. Be psychological when you're thinking about things as you're trying to build your counter teams to excel in the arena and the grand arena. And this might all seem pretty straightforward to some of you higher level players, but again, most people will level up their tank and their damage dealer the most. They'll throw all of their resources, and I'm talking like 80% of their resources at their tank and their damage dealer. Look at my Martha. My Martha is 75k, not even 75k. My Martha is my main healer, right? Look at my Faceless. My Faceless is 70,000 power. So I'm spending most of my resources on these two. Now, granted, I am leveling up Aurora pretty heavily right now because she's so effective on Facebook. But if you think about what is the most likely investment, and let's just go take a look at the arena here. Let's just pick, Annie Oakley here. Annie Oakley is actually I actually know Annie Oakley pretty well. But for example, we have an active tank, we have a physical damage dealer, we have Celeste for some support, and we have Martha for some heals. So this is a pretty good bet that I would use. I would use dodge heroes or armor buffing heroes. I would definitely use Jorgen against this team. I would have to think about, Astrid and Lucas a little bit, but chances are, just by looking at the makeup of this team, the biggest investment is in Luther and Galahad. Maybe in Astrid and Lucas, maybe in Celeste, maybe in Martha, but it's most likely in the tank and the damage dealer. And the rest, the other supports, they're going to do their job supporting that team, extra heals, extra buffs in the case of Nebula, energy draining in the case of Jorgen, but they're not going to be as detrimental to your plan as that enemy tank and that enemy damage dealer is. So guys, this video went a little longer than I hoped that it would, but I hope you guys, the point of it is to start thinking a little bit more critically about the teams that you're going up against. This is a tough team. Joshua here has got a tough team. He's got a physical damage dealer in Kark, magical damage dealer in Satori. You got to go two different directions here. Do you counter physical attacks? Do you counter magic attacks? I don't know. I don't know. Once you start getting to these higher levels, this, the 600,000 power level, 686,000. See, I'm only 480,000 with this team. It becomes more about rock, paper, scissors, plugging in, 5 maxed out heroes to combat Joshua's team of 5 here. So let me know in the comment section down below if you found this video helpful or if it was just too long and too wordy. I don't know, but I do want to share with you a couple of team counter videos that kind of reinforce some of the points that I've made. They're on screen now. Please take a look at them. I think that a more pure rock, paper, scissors, this team beats that team, this team beats that team, counter video is definitely needed. A video talking about how to beat, the most common meta teams out there, the Twins, the Karks, the critical hit teams, and that video is coming. But until then, I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.